Class is in session. We are going to do some media literacy, and it's going to be through the lens of the cab driver that no one can stop talking about from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's car chase from paparazzi in New York City. I am asking nicely to watch the whole video before commenting. I spend time to research and to consider what I'm going to say. I would love the same consideration in return, because sometimes the but, it's answered in the video. First, let's go over a couple of confirmed facts. Harry and Meghan did not leave this event in a yellow taxi. They got into a secured SUV with their security detail, etc. The cab that they got into with their security detail, they didn't just throw Harry and Meghan and Doria into a cab, was in an effort to blend in, because yellow taxis, dime a dozen. Unfortunately, that didn't work, and they spent all of 10 minutes in the car. They basically circled the block, realized this was not going to work. They still had paps on their tail. They returned to where they started. Those are facts. Now let's look into some headlines about what the cab driver said, which you know we're going to compare with what he actually said, right? Here's one. Cab driver reacts to Prince Harry, Meghan Markle's near catastrophic chase with paparazzi. It's all exaggerated. Yikes. Prince Harry and Meghan paparazzi car chase was not near catastrophic. NYPD officials suggest, we've talked about that word before. A taxi driver who picked up the Sussexes has said, I don't think I would call it a chase. Now, they do add in that they seemed quiet and scared and were in the back of the car for 10 minutes, but I can see how some people would just take this and run with it. Case closed, liars. Because some people are not interested in learning the facts, they are interested in learning something, a little nugget that they can poke at, that will give them permission to continue to hate people that they do not know. I can't say this enough. I don't care if you like Harry or Meghan, but we should be able to agree that aggressive paparazzi is not good. Feels like that should be an easy thing to agree on, and yet here we are. Now let's get into interviews, and I'm going to show you two, and we're going to focus on a couple of things, not just what the cab driver says, but how the question is asked. The Piers Morgan segment where he interviews the cab driver is about 5 minutes long, and let's be honest, most people don't have the attention span. So I'm going to start with the 1 minute and 20-second clip, and I'm going to focus on a specific part.
What did you think about the description of this, the near catastrophic event?
Oh, I don't think that's true. I think that's all, exaggerated and stuff like that, so don't read too much into that.
Did you catch how that question was asked? How do you feel about the description? Not, here is what their spokesperson had to say. Because sure, you could run with the idea that he is downplaying their experience. Or perhaps he took it as, yeah, media tends to sensationalize things, don't read too far into it. We don't know how he interpreted that question, because it was asked in a very specific way. Now let's watch some clips from the Piers Morgan interview.
By the man who was the taxi driver in this, the part of this wild car chase with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Sunny Singh, who was driving his yellow cab last night and picked them up and went off for 10 minutes and then brought them back, it seems, joins me now live.
Even Piers Morgan admits that Sunny Singh was only part of this, and it was only 10 minutes. Let's continue.
Tell me exactly what happened last night.
So I was crossing on 67th Street, going west on 67. By the precinct, there was security standing there. They hailed me. And they say, are you empty? I said, yes. And they told me to pull aside. As I pulled to the side, Prince Harry and his wife and another lady jumped into my cab. And they seemed very nervous. And as we went a block, we were blocked by a trash truck. And then all of a sudden, paparazzi just came out of nowhere and just flashes just went off.
That corroborates what we've heard. On a map, here is the NYPD 19th precinct. Here's 67th. This is where they were picked up, because they stopped at the precinct because they couldn't lose the paps. So far, everything lines up.
It's gonna go, but then the paparazzi came and the security guard said, hey, listen, just circle back to the precinct.
So they had a security guard in the cab as well?
In the cab, yes. Okay, and you see him in one of the pictures, he's sitting next to me.
Were you surprised that they were in your cab?
Not so much. We get celebrities in the city all the time, so not so much.
We know that the paparazzi...
In New York City, you don't know who you get. Right. You don't know who you're going to pick up in New York, right? So.
Right, and that's true. But, in your experience, was the paparazzi attention any more or less than it would be for other major celebrities?
No, for them it was more. It was a lot more because I had other celebrities in my cab as well, but this one, they was because they surrounded the car and just went crazy with the camera.
This was more than he had ever experienced. The paparazzi went crazy with the cameras. Let's continue.
It's been categorized that there was a 2-hour wild car chase through the streets of New York, but was the time
that must have happened before me.
So there was no
Because I think that's
there was
when
no
they were
like
at the
car
police
chase
station.
when you were there.
Not when they got into my cab. We just went around the block, and two cars were tailing us behind us with the camera.
He literally says, that didn't happen with me. It must have happened before. We drove around the block, and then the security detail decided to abort mission. Because as the cab driver said, it was paparazzi like he had never seen it before. And Meghan and Harry seemed shaken and scared, which makes sense. I cannot say this enough. When you read excerpts in media, go find the original source. If you just read the headline or a 10-second soundbite that they transcribed from someone, go find the original source. Because remember, the tabloids in particular have a certain story that they have crafted that they are trying to tell. And that's why people are so quick to say that this was dramatized and that they're liars, because that's what they've been told for 6+ years. And even if you don't read the tabloids, you're not immune to it. We are a digitized world, and those messages seek in. Pause. Take a second to look into the information. And this message is for those of you who are tired. Me too. Some people are not seeking to understand. They are seeking to poke holes. People focus on the fact that the spokesperson said that it was near catastrophic. But if she had said dangerous or terrifying or anything else, people would have still picked that apart. And I promise you now, after laying all this out, there are going to be people that move the Overton window. But what about, and that's why I'm not going to come on here and debunk every silly conspiracy and rumor and conjecture that I see online. It's not worth my time, and it's not worth your time. It's discombobulating to live in a world where not everyone is just working from the same set of facts, where people are unwilling to actually look into how long they were in the cab or the fact that they didn't originally start out in the cab. Some people don't even seem to know or believe that, despite all of the visual evidence out there. The simple solution is preferable to the more complex one. Is it more plausible that paparazzi, hungry for a shot that they know is going to sell, were aggressive with Harry and Meghan? Or is it more plausible that somehow Prince Harry concocted a scheme that includes the NYPD, his security detail, his wife, and his mother-in-law to potentially put them in danger to create a story? Especially considering the way his mother died. They don't need to drum up publicity. They went virtually silent for most of 2020 and 2021, besides the Oprah interview. And they were still a story everywhere. Meghan did not attend the coronation. She didn't put herself in the spotlight, and yet she was still a major part of every story. It's only complicated if you want to make it complicated. And that's all I'm going to say on that.